Hello everyone, I'm gonna show you how to win, or at least contend, with the Super Animal Art Contest. Let's get right into it. There are several questions we can go over to get a summary of what we'd want to do in our piece. Character detail, style, line art usage, shading, why it was picked, uniqueness, adjacency to SAR's art style, and what the devs kinda really want. We'll go down the list. Character detail is pretty straightforward. In the current museum, you can clearly see that much of the detail is consistently quite good. However, there's a bit of a trend. Note how the pieces with less characters tend to be at least somewhat greater than those with multiple characters in detail. What we can gather from this is solo or pieces with less than 3 characters will need a little more focus and detail, perhaps even a degree of stronger emotional significance. Those with a large crowd or group can get away with perhaps a little less cohesive or meaningful themes and details. This one in particular, a large crowd and a little less emphasis on the specific details. That's not to say that this piece isn't good. I think it's very good. It fits in with all the rest of them quite well. But in comparison to some others, it's a little less refined. I'd say it's a baseline. Something you should reach for if you want to be a serious contender in the Super Animal Royale art show. Next up is line art usage. Originally, I believe the pieces with a lineless style had an advantage, or were at least more abundant in the museum. But after a couple more look-arounds, I've actually found that it's about equal, with 1 or 2 pieces arguably having a mixed line and no line style. So honestly, this shouldn't really factor into what you do in terms of lines. Do whatever you want in this decision, or whatever is your strongest attribute, whatever you're better at. Shading. Shading will no doubt help your piece. There isn't really a single piece of art here that lacks shading. It goes without saying that your piece will need to look complete, and shading is pretty much required for this. Any style of shading should really work. The art style diversity here is massive. Now let's go over why the piece was picked. This is a pretty hard question to answer. It could go down to its theme, its striking style, or perhaps it even struck a nerve with the developers who saw it. The themes of both literal style as well as subjective emotional relevance are extremely varied here. So I think going for something unique, detailed, and if possible, emotionally resonating should be attempted. Uniqueness. Your piece having unique style will undoubtedly help your piece be bumped up in the ranks of other contenders. I'll go over this more in the next 2 topics as they're all kind of related. Adjacency to SAR's art style. In terms of style and proportion, that also has a huge diversity in the museum. It can be very accurate to the in-game characters or utterly different in realism level or even styles of cartoon. This example is fairly realistic but identifiably Super Animal Royale. Here is another. But then you have pieces like this that, to someone more uninitiated, may even ask, is that even SAR? The only thing that really identify them to me are the mini pets and the rebel mark on the right piece. So from this, we can safely say that you could go kinda wild with the proportions and style, and maybe just have 1 or 2 things that even signify that it's Super Animal Royale at all. Ones more faithful to the style of SAR have an equal chance, of course, and I'd say that doesn't really increase or decrease your odds either way. Unless it doesn't have like any animals, I guess, you kind of need some anthropomorphic animals of some kind. So, finally, what do the developers want? After analyzing all of the pieces and winners, in my opinion, the developers want a few key things. Objective skill is one. What I mean by objective skill is this. Let's say a cast of characters in all shapes, sizes, and ages enter an art room of some kind, perhaps a museum. They see a piece. Does this piece, will your piece attract all of them? Can all of those characters look at it and say, hey, that's pretty good? I'd say all of the pieces in the current museum can easily say yes to this. Regardless of your background, bias, opinions, I'd say it's pretty easy to say that these all have objective skill. Being practiced in your art will help you immensely. Things like cathedrals, large buildings that have an emphasis on their architecture, and even some company logos can be considered objectively good art. Regardless of who you are, you probably won't be repulsed by it. Mass appeal isn't exactly a good thing all of the time, and I'll explain this a bit further at the end. Another key aspect you want is animals. I said earlier, if your piece doesn't have animals, it's probably not going to be a good contender in the Super Animal Royale art show contest. So, it's just about the only thing you really, truly need to be a contender. So another key aspect is family friendliness. Super Animal Royale is a game with no blood, no cursing, kid-friendly humor at every corner. You shouldn't have any blood or super adult themes in your piece. Follow this, and you're on your way to be a strong contender. A bonus kind of thing is, what don't the developers want? They absolutely do not want adult themes or blood in the piece. If you put this, just pack your bags, since you'll most likely be instantly disqualified and your piece deleted off the Discord channel. They also don't want anything too abstract. Stuff with no animals or bizarre, splotchy backgrounds, like a lot of New Age modern art, is a no-no. This isn't to say that it'll be rejected as fast as something explicit or gory, but practically no piece in the current player fan art lineup is really like this. I'd say it's safe to say you should avoid being too crazy in the abstract and, in the abstractness. Anything else is really a no-brainer. Anything racially charged, AI-generated art, strongly political or offensive, just don't do it if you're serious about contending. And there it is. A fairly short and comprehensive guide on how to have a serious shot at winning the Super Animal Royale art contest. Thanks for watching to the end. Like and subscribe if you like it. Hopefully I'll see you around.